Michael is an employee at Vitality Health. He's been with the company for 10 years. He's loyal, he's kind-hearted, but most of all, that smile he has on his face whenever he walks into Vitality Health's headquarters every morning is something unforgettable. But Michael is also worried. Whenever Michael gives an idea or contributes to an exciting new innovation at Vitality, he doesn't get rewarded for the work he does. So how can we create a new performance system where employees like Michael are properly rewarded for the work that they do, so that the next time they reward something or give an idea, they're properly compensated for it? And that's exactly what we're here to do today. Good afternoon to the Board of Directors of Vitality Health. My name is Brendan from Flow Consulting Group, and today we're here to do just that. By reassessing the current performance system at Vitality Health, we'll be able to succeed and help employees like Michael move forward within the company. And to do that, we're going to be answering 3 key questions. The first one is, how does the current performance system fare, and what do employees think about it? The second one is, how does that performance system affect engagement and retention? And finally, we're going to be discussing exciting opportunity in people analytics that you can leverage at Vitality to run your company and your business better. So let's get started. So assessing the current system, we found that 54% of all of the employees at Vitality Health love the new system. But this also means that almost half of the employees in the organization, like Michael, don't like the new system. So why is that the case? Stack ranking is a common system that was used by many different companies like Microsoft and General Electric between the 1980s and 2000s. But the biggest issue with stack ranking was the team cohesion between all of the members in the team. So let's take an example. Let's say you're a 5-person team and Michael's one of those people. And Michael contributes a great amount to the room, and they, as a team, come up with a great product that Vitality can use to launch to market. But here's the punchline. The manager of that team then has to pick the winners and the losers of that team, which means some people get compensated and get bonuses and promoted, and others get fired. This creates a lot of animosity within an organization where team members constantly fight with each other and don't work together, which ultimately means there's no innovation in the company and leads to the animosity that Michael is currently feeling. So ultimately, this leads to a lack of communication, and because of stack ranking, there needs to be more monitoring of the employees rather than leaving them to be independent. So ultimately, the current system doesn't help employees like Michael innovate and perform better. Next, we're going to look at how does the current system affect engagement and retention. Because of stack ranking, there's been a high turnover rate within many of the scientists at Vitality Health. And they've been leaving the organization because of the way that the performance system is set up. So even when they give a great idea, if they're not properly recognized by it from their manager, they're not compensated for it. So there needs to be a more fair system that ultimately evaluates those objectives and their performance more better and fairly, so that all the members on the team are properly evaluated. And this ultimately leads to conflicts. So this also means that the current performance system isn't adequate for Michael's current use. And finally, but most importantly, we also want to discuss an exciting new opportunity to digitalize HR information with the introduction of people analytics. A lot of companies today, especially technology ones like Google, Microsoft, and Apple, are using people analytics as a way to jumpstart their business and make data-driven decision-making with HR, which has never been before seen until recently. So this way, when companies like Google hire someone, they don't just hire them based on how well they do in the interview, but on specific metrics about them as a person. And this also applies to when that person is hired and is during the job. Let's say Michael gets hired as a candidate. How do we make sure also that when Michael enters the organization, that he's there for the long run? That's why we highly recommend people analytics as a service for Vitality, because that way you'll be able to be with your employee from the beginning on his first day to making sure that that employee is happy and stays for a long time. And that's why we believe the introduction of people analytics is the future for Vitality Health. Amit Kalandri once said, that if you fulfill the wishes of your employees, they in turn will fulfill your vision. But what is your vision as a company, Vitality Health? Your vision is to keep A players like Michael within your organization so that you can become the world leader in nutritional products with the best innovative solutions that people like Michael will come up with. But what's stopping you from achieving this vision today? We learned from our analysis that conflicts will continue amongst the employees of the organization if stack ranking isn't abolished. So there needs to be a new way to evaluate performance in a way that's fair to Michael so that he feels valued as he's always been at the company. But what if this doesn't change? That'll lead to disengagement and ultimately no innovation for the company, which means the next time that Michael comes into a room and comes into an idea room, he won't want to contribute anymore. And that will ultimately lead to him leaving the company, as many other scientists have done at Vitality, and ultimately leading to a large financial impact for the business. But as long as you never forget that every single employee in your organization is a star like Michael, you'll always succeed. That's why we're very excited today to present our star recommendation. By structuring your policies, training employees like Michael and communicating that to all stakeholders, aligning your vision with employees' goals, assessing for success, and finally, retaining to progress. By keeping employees for the long term like Michael, you'll be able to constantly create a system where everyone in the organization is valued and everyone feels like a star. And that's why by restructuring the current performance system, by encouraging feedback and smart goals, you'll be able to create an environment where Michael is extremely excited to come to work every day. So what are the main impacts from our recommendation? The first one is there won't be any more missed product launches. With everyone aligned and everyone on the same page and properly measured based on the objectives of the company, it'll be much easier for you to go to market as Vitality Health. The next one and most important one is lower turnover rate. Employees like Michael will stay within the organization much longer and they'll be a lot more engaged and happy. So looking into our implementation, we've separated this into 3 key phases: simplify, innovate, and grow. Famous artist Hoffman once said that the ability to simplify means to eliminate the unnecessary so that the necessary may speak. So in that regard, we're going to spend the first 3 months of our implementation really simplifying all the HR processes within the org so that you have a simple system that Michael can understand and also give feedback on so that you're properly measuring his performance in a way that he deems fair. And we're also going to assess the need for people analytics to see what types of exciting new features can you be adding to your organizations tomorrow. And in Innovate, we're going to be test launching Office Vibe, which is an exciting new engagement platform to dish out surveys every 2 weeks so that Michael is constantly informed about what's happening and to make sure that his happiness is constantly monitored in the organization. And we'll also have change champions and mentorship programs for Michael so that he's properly tailored so that he knows where he's going next with his career path. And finally, in Grow, we're going to be reassessing all of these strategies to make sure that our targets are being hit. So ultimately, what does success look like for the organization? It means more informal discussions around feedback and not making it a chore for managers. So that way, when the next time Michael has a performance review, it's not done formally every 6 months, but it's done on a more frequent basis so that he's constantly evaluated on his performance and knows how to improve. The second one is missed product launches. There won't be any after the implementation of this recommendation. The retention of key scientists. Many employees like Michael will stay for the long run. They have an environment where they can innovate and get properly evaluated on how they're doing in the org as well. And finally, but most importantly, the participation rate of the employee engagement surveys will skyrocket after the second year because employees will really appreciate the small bursts of information, 2-3 minute surveys, to really help them assess whether or not they're happy with the company and what they're doing. Now it's time for financials. Richard Branson once said that if you invest in your people, they in turn will invest back into you. That's why we believe an investment of $1.2 million is money well spent. And we've also have some contingencies and risks to keep in mind. The first one is if the participation rate for the surveys is much lower than anticipated in the first year. This means we won't know how well we're doing as a company. That's why it's important for you to communicate the importance of the survey, more specifically from the CEO and the top executives at the top, so that everyone gets the job done and everyone understands why these surveys are being issued. And it's also important to keep in mind our second risk, employee resistance. What if employees in the company don't like these new initiatives? It's important at the same time, using the same mitigation, to really communicate with them by having more change champions like Michael to really speak about the change and how excited they are about it, and also clarify anything that they're confused about so they understand what's happening for the future. Imagine the next time that Michael walks into the doors of Vitality Health. He won't just walk into another company. He'll walk into an organization where he's valued for the work he does, properly rewarded for the ideas he brings to the table, and above all, his 10 years at Vitality Health won't just be 10 years. There'll be many more years to come, because you at Vitality Health recognize that every single employee at the organization, like Michael, is a star. Thank you very much.